Yeah, we can see your mouse.
Okay, awesome. So this presentation is about navigating social media as an artist. It's not necessarily going to be about like gaining followers or focusing on the numbers or anything, but just about having a good time on the internet. So, about me, I'm a webcomic artist and illustrator. I make comics on Instagram about like mental health, emotions, just like slice of life stuff as well. I also sell my art at Artist Alleys, and I've been a digital content creator since like 2011. So, before I was on Instagram, I was on Flipnote making animations and interacting with people on Flipnote. Um, so Flipnote's like a DSI app like Nintendo DSi app. I also like seals, so I put a little seal in the corner. And so I want to mention like a couple of benefits about using social media that you may not have thought of. Um, so it's a great way to connect with new artists. So people outside of your social circle in person, you can interact with a lot of different people. So I have friends from like Texas and everything. And also like in Discord servers, I'm friends with a lot of other people outside of my normal like commute and circle and everything. Um, it's also great for credibility. So if someone is checking you out and you like tell them your artist name and everything and they look you up, they don't just see your website, but they also see you have social media and it makes you seem a little bit more official as well. And it's a great way to reach new audiences. So, usually social media is by location, like it's location focused. So sometimes you can get people from your area to kind of see what you're up to as well. And then they check you out. I know a lot of people from Instagram see that I'm like selling at a convention. And so they meet me at the convention. And it's a great way to keep your audiences updated. So if you haven't gotten around to having like an emailing list or anything like that, using social media is a really good starting point for keeping people updated as well. And it can also serve as a portfolio. So if you just need a place to just share your work and you don't want to like set up a website, you can use it as a portfolio. I would say that the people who do see it will need to have that social media account too. So for example, if you are sharing your Instagram, the other person has to see or has to have Instagram as well, just to see your full profile. Um, but it's a really great way to also like, I would say, kind of like LinkedIn, but a creative form of LinkedIn, where other artists that have more experience or can kind of like discover you and interact with you and things like that. So, before posting, there's a couple of things to think about. There's becoming comfortable with posting is really important. So, I would say like starting with like quantity over quality at first, just because you want to get comfortable with using social media. You just want to get into like not the habit of posting, but feeling like, okay, this isn't like a scary thing. I can do this. It's not too difficult. These are actually my first few posts on Instagram. This is my first post. It's a duck. So I wasn't even thinking about like using my Instagram for art to begin with. Um, it kind of evolved into using it for art later on. And you can also, if you're worried about how people are going to perceive you online, you can also start with a private account. So if someone, you'll have a lot more control with who contacts you or who follows you as well if you start with a private account. Or if you don't want anyone to follow you at all and you just want to get used to posting, you can definitely use a private account. And you can post without posting as well. So, what I mean by that is you can draft up a post or you can take a photo and think about, like, oh, this is a great thing to post, but you don't have to post it. I've done that with, I'm switching up to using YouTube a little bit more. So, I want to get into vlogging. And so, I have a lot of footage of stuff that I just have not edited or anything, but I just wanted to get into the habit of, oh, this is something I want to record. Oh, this is something that I want to remember. And then pretty much later on, maybe I can use it as content or I can just keep it for myself and keep it like that. So I would say post as if you're sharing with a group of friends, because when you're starting out, you're most likely going to be doing that as well. The first few people that kind of check you out, you can like it's on your business card, or you someone asks like, "Hey, what's your socials?" and you give them the socials. Like the people who you're talking or going to be sharing with are probably going to be people that maybe have met you or are curious about your work, things like that. And you also want to set yourself up for success. So, to do that, you kind of want to accommodate how you work and work that into your the way that you share your work. So, create alongside your current workflow. For example, if you want to record a video but you work in the evenings, I recommend recording that in the evenings. Also, if let's say that you work very well at a studio, bring your camera to the studio instead of recording at home. And also set up spaces that you want to create in. So if you want to record footage, I would recommend having your camera charged. I would recommend having a tripod set up already so that when you feel inspired to try and record something or try and take photos of something, everything is charged, everything is ready to go, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, I need to charge my phone and this is like not as motivating and now I don't feel like doing it and things like that. You just want to make sure that you're accommodating for yourself. And you want to find inspiration and curate your feed. So I it might be like kind of obvious, but just following artists that do inspire you and muting artists that don't. I feel like some people don't really know about the mute option. It doesn't necessarily block them, but it doesn't show them in your feed. So for example, if you keep on seeing an artist that you're just like intimidated by and you're just like, oh man, I like their work, but I don't really want to see it all the time. You can mute the artist. Um, I know it can be really like discouraging sometimes to see how successful someone could be. So muting them when you're starting out is very helpful. And then you can unmute them later whenever you are ready to be like, okay, I would love to see this artist again or see them more often. You can also, I would say, engage with posts that you want to see more of. So engaging just doesn't just mean like hitting the like button, but it could also mean watching the video for the full duration or leaving a comment, things like that. This you will see more of what you engage with. So for example, for like rage bait is pretty much when someone is trying to get you to be upset, trolling, things like that. If you are on that post for a long time, or you're reading through comments, or you're leaving comments, arguing with people on that post, you're more likely to see posts that are somewhat like that. So make sure that you're informing the algorithm of what you actually want to see more of and kind of just skipping off of what you don't want to see. Um, you can also, there's an option to hide or block posts. So it's the three dots in the corner. You can just hit not interested, or you can go to someone's account. There's three dots at the top, and you can hit like mute, or you can hit restrict, block, things like that, just to make sure that you stay at peace with your art and your creation and your experience online. If you find an artist or a genre that you like, I would say go to the artist profile and just be a little nosy and see who they're following, because that's a really great way to see who's in the community or who what this artist gets inspired by. They might be following some friends, but they also might be following some artists that they are enjoying or want to see more of. So it's a great way, like, if you're into pixel art, follow the pixel artists and then check out their stuff, like check out who they're following, things like that. And so, is there any questions about becoming comfortable with posting, setting yourself up for success, or finding inspiration or anything? You can leave comments in the chat or you can unmute yourself and just let me know. And I'll give you like a couple of seconds if you want to think about it or anything. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. Oh, let me go back. It was I'll think of it later. Yeah, I'll think of it later. Okay. So now we're going to making the content. And also if you want to like leave a comment or a question during the thing, like you can definitely like leave a comment and then we can get to it when I get to another pause. So, most audiences prefer consistency. Consistency doesn't always mean post frequency. So, I would say don't post every day. That can be a really quick way to burn out and be overwhelmed, especially if you're not used to posting every day. Don't post every day. Um, it can also be about post aesthetics or tone and brand identity. So, like what type of art you post. If you do a lot of painting, do you post a lot of paintings? Or if you are leaving like commenting, sorry, not commenting, leaving captions on your posts, how do you talk about yourself? How do you talk about your work? Like, do you say positive things? Are you very edgy with it? Just think about how you're talking and kind of keep consistent with it. I would say that if you are able to explain what you're doing online in a couple short sentences, that's a great way to know that, oh, you're being consistent with at least something. I kind of showing my post schedule for TikTok. I don't post I'm not as consistent as I should be on TikTok, but it's still I still I'm able to kind of garner a bunch of views just because um, when people follow me, they know what to expect. They are expecting animations and expecting silly mashups. Um, but you will find your voice over time. Also, disclaimer, like I also have a following on Instagram as well, so that can also be people coming from Instagram. But a lot of people on TikTok do not know that I'm on Instagram, and they haven't seen my face. I don't want to show my face on TikTok. You don't have to show your face on social media. You don't have to. You can just be showing your art and going from there. Um, but this video is like 7 years old. I posted it on my old YouTube channel, and it you can see remnants of where I was going with it. Like you can kind of see a bits and pieces of consistency. Um, and I would also say for that, it doesn't always end up being intentional. It's kind of like handwriting, where you can change your handwriting as much as you can, but if someone knows you very well, they're going to know like what you're up to or kind of see your voice through your work. So this is a video. It's not long. Okay. And can you hear audio?
No, I can't hear it. Usually, I think you share
Can't
the
hear it?
screen sharing
All
app.
right. Let me see if I can share audio. More. How do I oh, share computer sound. There we go. I found it. I figured it out. Okay. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. So this is my old video. You can kind of see remnants of what I currently do in my old videos. So, it's not as pink as it could be, and I'm using a MacBook. Okay, no, just kidding. It's Macs are fine. But like you can see that I'm still kind of keeping a very light, carefree attitude with a lot of my work. I like adding humor into my comics and in my art. I was doing a lot more video content that was more like footage instead of animations, but I was still making mashups and I was still kind of like the way that I talk about myself is kind of similar. Just because even though I evolved as an artist and I evolved as a creator, bits and pieces of me are still like bits and pieces of my past self are still there. Um, oh, sorry. Okay. I would say for balancing art and content creation, it's a very difficult thing to learn how to balance the two because it can be like oh, I need to set aside time to do this, but I don't have time to do this. Um, so time blocking is a really great way to do that. So if you have like a schedule, pretend this is an hourly schedule here. You want to block out time or hours that you're unavailable. So this work block, I would say, this is when I'm going to work, or this is when I'm going to like my day job. So I can't do anything during that time. So how much time do I have in between that time? So from there, I record the video or I record footage or anything. I kind of set aside time to do that just so I'm like, okay, nothing else is scheduled for that time except for recording footage, or nothing is scheduled during that time except for like recording while I work or working on my art, things like that. So you want to block in those work hours and break up tasks by day if you need to. So don't set aside time and be like, okay, I'm going to record the video, I'm going to edit the footage, I'm going to post it. This only today. You want to kind of do it in bits and pieces, just because when you are working on a new thing, it can be very overwhelming to create something from start to finish. And so you want to make sure that you kind of let yourself breathe and slowly ease your way into things. Also schedule time to relax. Don't fill up your schedule 100% with every single thing that you can possibly like stuff into your schedule. When I have really busy days, I set a time to when I want to be in bed or upstairs or not working at all. So some days I have like a busy, like I have two jobs outside of also working as an artist. So sometimes I have to block in time for both jobs and then also kind of a little sliver of time to work on art. But I'm just like, by the time it hits 11, I better be upstairs. Um, when you are also time blocking, set in a bit of wiggle room, whether it's 30 minutes to an hour. Just make sure you have some time where you can mentally reset and switch to the next project or switch to the next thing. If you need to commute somewhere, also maybe set aside like an hour, 2 hours just to commute, just to get yourself situated. Um, and I'm only strict with doing time blocking when I have a lot to do or if I feel like I have a little time. So for example, this is my schedule for today. It's very light. So I set up like these are my two shifts that I have to do. And then this is the presentation that I'm doing right now. So that just gives me an idea of like how much time I have during the day. But for some of these other days, let me see if I can find one that's like very a little bit stricter. Um, Give me a second. Thankfully, I haven't had too many heavy days lately, but there was one. Oh, there we go. So for this one, I had a very big list to do. So I wrote down everything I needed to do for the list. And then I kind of set up little sections of time where I wanted to do things. And I can give you the link to this calendar as well. So trust, I got you. I got you. But I like to plan on paper because I see it on my desk. If it's on my phone, I'm not looking at it. That thing is for social media only. I'm just kidding. But like I find it better for me to physically write down what I'm doing or when I'm doing it. Um, and then also like I also keep a planner as well. So this is just the Hobonichi planner. It's very popular with people who like to plan. Um, but I can definitely link those near the end of the presentation as well. Um, yes. And then also creating SMART goals. So SMART goals, if you're really into self-help, you've probably heard of SMART goals. Either that or I think what was it? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. If you had to read that in school, you've probably heard of SMART goals. But SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time focused. If you are a very if you keep within if you set your goals to fit these criteria, you're more likely to reach those goals. So, for example, this sentence, I will record 5 minutes of footage for a video on my Instagram feed after I come home from work on Thursday. So that is very specific. I'm recording footage for a video. It's measurable, so I'm just recording 5 minutes. I don't have to go over or under. It's attainable. 5 minutes isn't super, super long. I can kind of hit record and just work on drawing. It's attainable as well. Or did I say attainable? Yes. And it's also relevant. So I'm doing this for my Instagram feed, and it's also time bound. So I'm doing this once I get home from work on Thursday. When you're working on SMART goals, I would say you have to build trust with yourself. So don't make too many goals. If you're not someone who reaches, like, who sets goals very often, start with one small thing and build trust with yourself. So, for example, like if you have a friend who isn't on time very often, you don't expect to see them on time very often either. However, if you have a friend who's like super punctual and they're there like 5 minutes before the meeting or the like whenever you guys are meeting up, you kind of feel like, oh, I have to be there too. I have to make sure like this is what you're expecting from that friend. So that same type of expectation you want to kind of build for yourself. So being able to trust yourself with making content. And also staying relevant. It may seem like a certain amount of certain set of things, but it's actually a little different than what you may think. So, staying relevant may seem like chasing every single trend in audio or only posting things that you think people will like or appeasing the algorithm. But it's also, it's actually like engaging with your current audience. So, just interacting with them, keeping them excited and interested in your work, trying out new features on social media. The thing with a lot of these social medias is they really push whatever's new. So, for example, Reels. That was a really big thing for a good amount of time. And literally, you would just post like anything on Reels and they would just push it just because it was new and they really wanted people to use it. Um, Also, maintaining your identity without resisting change. So, think about how maybe you have someone that you've been following for a very long time, and you've been keeping up with them for a good amount of time. Their work has evolved over time. I would say, even for like bigger content creators, like Smosh, uh, Good Mythical Morning, those larger creators, they are not the exact same format as they used to be, like years and years and years ago, but they are still maintaining their identity of like, this is who we are, this is what we do, but they don't resist change. So they may sometimes check out a trend here and there, but that isn't their main focus. So don't be afraid to pivot. For me, I noticed that Reels were popular and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with Reels for a bit, but I hadn't shared my mashups in a very long time. Um, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try making a mashup and well, I had a whole plethora of mashups I hadn't posted. So I was like, let me animate to one of them because I really liked animation when I was younger. I used to do it on Flipnote and everything. And so I tried it out and it kind of like it it spread a lot faster than I thought it would, which is super awesome. And now lately, I've noticed that slideshows with music has been really big. So for my comics, I kind of changed my format a little bit. So instead of making all my comics on one slide, I kind of tried extending my comics, making them a little longer so that they're on multiple slides, and then adding a little bit of music to it. If you're ever curious about like, oh, this is like what's going on, this is what's popular, things like that, sometimes you can just kind of check out what your other artist friends are doing or see what larger creators are doing and how they're formatting their work. A lot of times with larger creators, they do have contacts with the social media like representative. Like I talk with a Meta representative once in a while. They just call me. They're just like, "Hey, we're gonna call you today. Just saying." And then I'm like, "When?" But like sometimes these people do have contact with social media representatives, and so they kind of get a better idea of what's going on, like what they're pushing, what's popular, and then you can kind of go from there. So if you're ever wondering, you can always ask as well. Don't be afraid to ask your fellow artists what's going on. Um, but also, what was another thing I was gonna say? I was gonna say that I lost my thought, and that's okay to lose my thought. So I will come back to it if needed. um, I was talking about, yeah, it's fine. I'll come back to it if I need to. So, also be patient with yourself. Success does not happen overnight. I've had my Instagram account since 2013 and I started becoming popular in 2019. So there's no guarantee that something would be hugely successful, but you'd be surprised what takes off. So this is my usual like gaining followers, like it's very slow, it's very steady. You can see like it's really close to zero sometimes. Sometimes I'll be losing followers and I'm like, "Oh." But um progress takes time. And this spike here was from this post. So I was not expecting for this post to take off. I was just like, "Oh, it's just like a little comic about this dress that I really liked," and I posted a photo about a photo of my dress and everything. And it took off a lot quicker than I thought it would. And I was very pleasantly surprised. And so that was working for me. So I was like, "You know what? I'm going to try something different." Like I'm going to try and continue with like adding music, adding slides, things like that. But that progress is very slow. You can also see like my overall followers have gained, but like, sometimes people unfollow you and that's completely fine. It's nothing personal, most likely nothing personal. Some people just like they change interests or things like that. Like think of the last person that you unfollowed. It probably wasn't anything personal. It was probably just like, I don't resonate with this as much anymore. And then you just move on to the different like creator. So I would say, like, don't focus on who's unfollowing you. Sometimes I think there was one time where I was losing followers like for a solid 3 months, um, which like sucked a little bit, but things like following ebbs and flows so much that don't worry about it, Like success doesn't happen overnight. And you will see progress from like don't check it daily, but I would say like you'll see progress from like quarter to quarter. Like don't compare it month to month, day to day. I would say quarter to quarter just so you can see that like progress does take time. It takes a lot of time. So does anyone have any questions about um posting, handling or sorry, not handling, posting. Posting, what was the other topics I talked about? Consistency, balancing art and content creation, and staying relevant, and also anything about patience. If you have any questions about that, I just want to pause and then if you have any questions, there's that. While I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to link that planner that I've been using. So let me go ahead and do that. And this one is an hourly planner. So I usually use weekly planners. I used to use an hourly or sorry. I started when okay, I've always been planning for a very long time. Um I have been using weekly planners for a long time. It does take time to learn what is important to plan and what's not too relevant to like add to it. So switching to a daily planner was not as big of a jump as I would say starting from no planner to like a monthly planner would be. Same with like switching from a monthly to a weekly planner. Um, and then I'm gonna also, I think I got it online. Yes. So this is the other planner that I use. So those are the two planners that I use. And I'm going to go ahead to handling interactions. So once you are on social media, there are also other people that are also on social media. So there's like positive interactions and then not so positive interactions that I wanted to kind of talk about how you can handle those. So interacting with your community. Don't just like post and disappear. If you respond to comments once in a while, um, if you respond to comments once in a while, like they are encouraged to keep interacting with your work and they're encouraged to engage with you a little bit more too. So if you get like a DM and it's not um too annoying or anything, you can also like respond to those as well. And don't forget, it's social media. You have to kind of stay um engaged with them so that you can engage they can engage with you. So it's kind of like a two-way street where they're excited about what you're doing. So you want to be excited for them that they're excited about what you're doing. Um so for example, this person's like, "Hi, quick question. Why's he got toes?" And I was like, "To grab you." Just kidding. He would ask first. So a lot of people really found that to be funny. So being able to engage with your audience gets them excited about your work. Another example, like a large creator, Baby No Money, he always tends to react and respond to people that make videos and art about him. And that encourages other people to make videos and art about him. It's a really great way to kind of build your community. So I see we have a couple of questions, so I will go ahead and answer those. So curious to know if you ever had a limit on how long you had to take on a piece of art. I paint traditionally, so it naturally takes 12 years, but sometimes I wonder if restricting the amount of time on a project would be remotely helpful. So it depends on the project. So I work very well on deadlines. I love when someone's like, "Hey, this needs to be due by this time." That's been really helpful for me. However, if you are creating art and you want to be able to just take your time on it, nothing wrong with that. I would say if you are, for example, accommodating yourself for content creation, just recording the painting like a work in progress. People love work in progress, especially when they're just like, "Oh, I have to come back to see how this turns out." And then they follow you and then they check out your work and then they see other things that you're working on. So don't be afraid to share works in progress, especially if it takes you a very long time. People love to see that you are working and creating and things like that. Also, when it comes to recording any footage or taking photos, making works in progress, don't be afraid to recycle that content. So, for example, if you're recording yourself painting and then you have like some B-roll of like the picture, like footage of you outside, sorry, footage of the window and then like you painting again and then like some nature or whatever. I don't know. Whatever vibe you want for your painting, you can reorder those bits of footage and it's a completely different video. Or you can just use the same footage, but change the caption, change the voiceover if you want to use a voice, or change the description. Things like that can help you create without taking away too much from your process. Um, and then someone else asked, "Do you ever have trouble with focusing on one idea when you feel like you have too many?" Yes, all the time. What helps me a lot is just having a master list of things that I want to get done. So for me, I this list is not time sensitive. This is just a huge list of like, these are ideas that I have. This is what I want to do eventually, whenever I get to it. Um, but that list is something that if I have a slow day or if I don't feel like I have a lot of time or like, sorry, if I don't feel like I have done too much or I have a lot of free time or I'm running out of ideas, I just refer to that to-do list and kind of pull from there maybe one or two things and add it to my time sensitive list. So, non-time sensitive, time sensitive. Also, organization wise, I would say don't overload yourself. I think I mentioned that before, but a really great way to keep yourself from being overloaded is just to set 3 goals a day. Just 3. 3 small like tasks that you like, if I get this done, I had a pretty good day. So, it doesn't always have to be art related. It doesn't always have to be like very like a productive thing, but it can be like, "Oh, I need to like pay this bill today." Or, "Oh, I need to like get the line art done for this piece or get half of the line art done." Just make a couple of like those 3 and just stick to just 3 things. And then maybe if you really want to, maybe add like a little extracurricular where you're just like, "Okay, bonus points if I get 1 extra thing done." But just 3 things that you can manage is very helpful with like being able to not overwhelm yourself, and still be able to focus on one idea. So those are the answers to those. Want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yes, I didn't miss anything. So, handling harassment. Oh my God, how fun. Okay, so sometimes you get some weird, mean comments. Don't be afraid to block, limit, or delete rude comments, especially like some people see a rude comment and then are just like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave another one." So they kind of like pile on sometimes. So sometimes just nipping it at the bud and just getting rid of one rude comment can make it like much easier to handle that. If you do get a rude comment, don't interact immediately. There could be a possibility that they're just joking with you. Like this person, it seems like dramatic and everything, but I stepped away and I was like, you know what? It ain't no big deal. And I just responded with, oh man. So it wasn't like a super serious like thing. And so just step away, think about it if you really want to, and you can deal with it later. You don't have to respond and you don't have to keep the post up, like the comment up. Sometimes if you're unsure if someone's serious or not, you can also just be like, double check to see if they're following you or not. If they're following you, there's a higher probability that you're just being sarcastic or silly or something like that. Um, that's how I handle negative feedback is or not negative feedback, harassment. Also, like if you do get a rude comment and you don't interact immediately, think about it because it could also be just like feedback. It also could be like, "Hey, this post is weird. What are you doing?" And being able to think about like, "Oh, why is this post weird? What are people kind of perceiving from this post? Maybe this person is just trying to be like, hey, this isn't like best practices or something like that." Being able to think about it instead of reacting immediately is going to be really helpful. Also, some people are just like mean. Like sometimes they just are bored and they just want to leave a mean comment. And you are getting entertained, like they are getting entertainment from you reacting. So if you don't react, you have truly won. Um, when it comes to any form of rage bait, like interacting with it, you you pretty much have lost. Like the true ascension is being at peace on the internet. So there's also did I yeah, okay. Also privacy. So make sure that you are very make sure that you are very um conservative with what you share because like you want to make sure that you don't reveal personal information because that can affect your safety. So, for example, avoid sharing your location, including vacations. So like if no one's at home, don't don't say that no one's at home. For me, if I'm on vacation and I want to share a little bit about my vacation, um I always post like the location after I'm gone. So, for example, I think I went to a botanical garden, and when I got home, I posted it. Or when I got back to the hotel, I posted it. Don't post your full legal name. I don't know, just don't I don't like just don't. And also don't share your routine or where you're working because that can also be a little unsafe. So if you they know your routine, they know where you are at all times, that's not very safe. And also if they know where you work, they can also just come to your work and say hi, and that's not fun. So just a couple things to avoid sharing. You never know, like I don't want to like scare you guys, but like you just don't know who's watching or anything like that. So you want to just keep yourself as safe as possible. And then when they talk about you, some people are cowards and they don't talk about you where you can see it. So don't look up your name online. um you'd be surprised. Like some people are just like they just want to talk, like they just want to talk shit. And um sometimes you don't like just don't interact with it because when they see if they notice that you're interacting with it, those posts are going to slowly be like addressing you. And that's not fun either. So, don't read what people say about you outside of your space. Um I remember when I was younger, I was a little bit more politically active, which made me a bigger target, which affected my mental health a lot. But I had looked myself up and I was on Kiwi Farms. I was on Kiwi Farms, which is like a really big like harassment site, pretty much. Like people go on Kiwi Farms to harass people. Anyway, I saw my name on there and I was like, close. So I don't know what they were saying. I saw a screenshot of one of my posts and I was like, nah, I'm good. And I'm so at peace knowing not knowing what they said to me or said about me. So Yahoo! Um, well, yeah, why is there an entire site for harassing people? Dude, some people are really, really bored and they live off of negativity. I don't get it personally. Me, I'm a positive person. I'm so great. But like some people do find a lot of energy from sucking the life out of other people, which really sucks. But sometimes I mean they're all bark, no bite usually, so they're just whining on the internet, whatever. Also set boundaries on the internet. Like just set boundaries. So you don't need to respond to every single comment and limit your time online. So a really great way to do that is to just turn off notifications for any form of social media. For me, I think I only have notifications on for DMs. So if someone directly messages me, just to say hello, or if they just want to leave a comment, or like say like I don't know, people are nice to me in the DMs, thankfully. Um, but I don't get that many DMs as well, which is freaking awesome. So I only have notifications on for those. And set up do not disturb for evening hours. At 11 o'clock, my phone turns black and white. And I think that's the best decision I've ever made for myself because I can just be like, oh, this thing's boring now. I don't want to interact with it. And especially when I'm upstairs in my bed, I don't get constant notifications that are just like, hey, pay attention to me. Hey, like my phone is quiet and it's amazing. And also be aware of your habits. So be sometimes the first step for changing is to just know that like, oh, I'm scrolling right now. Maybe I shouldn't be scrolling. Um, so just make sure that you're limiting your time online. Um, Also, using social media is optional. So remember that you don't have to be online, which is freaking awesome. Sometimes just like having a day where you have your notifications off, like literally set up do like turn on do not disturb and just like go touch some grass, have a good time. That can be a really like refreshing day. Just to set aside time when you're at work, turn your brain off. Or if you're at home, great time to work on art, things like that. So just be aware that you don't have to be online. You're not going to miss anything. I don't remember the last 5 things I saw online. So like you're not going to miss anything. And about the numbers. I feel like even though I didn't want to focus too much on them, they do exist. Numbers are stressful, they're crazy, and so use them to inform yourself on what works best, but don't check them daily. Don't compare your numbers to other creators. Um, if something is working for you, you can use that to like figure out what you want to do next, like what works best for you. But like also, you don't have to follow, like you don't have to always do works best what works best for you. Don't be afraid to experiment. Like the multiple slides post that I showed about the dress and everything, that was I didn't expect that to be like super successful. I was just like kind of experimenting with my with a new format and it worked well for me. And be consistent. As I was saying before, progress is a very long-term thing and you don't need a large following to be successful, like at all. It's always about how engaged your current following is. So, how excited they are for your work, things like that. You don't need a large following to be successful. You don't need a following at all to be successful. There's a lot of artists out there that are just out there just having a good time, going to events, networking, etc., and they're doing great without social media. Um, so just know that this social media thing, you don't have to do it, and it's not like it, d- don't pressure yourself to stick to something that you don't think is fitting for you. So thank you. Okay, so questions. I saw one question. So, someone asked, "When did you decide to try Patreon?" So I tried Patreon a couple times. Um, it wasn't about a number, it was just about vibes. So there were a couple people that were just like, "Oh, I would love to like check out your stuff." Like, sorry, I would love to like support your art in some way. And so I had a Patreon before my current Patreon where I think I was getting like maybe like $10 a month. And then I was like overwhelmed. And so I like got rid of it for a bit. And then I started it again. And now it's a little bit more successful, which is awesome. Um, but I would say you kind of have to like feel it out. If there's at least one person that's just like, yeah, I'd support you on Patreon, and they're like being serious about it, I would say just like open it, like especially when if you don't have a current following, that's awesome. Cause like you can just experiment without having too many eyes on you. So you can like open a Patreon and be like, does this work for me or does this not work for me? And you can do that without the pressure of having a lot of people expect things from you. So don't have to worry about that. But I would say I started Patreon up again when I think I had a lot more people engaging with my work to the point where like I was putting things up for sale and people were buying them and everything. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'll start a Patreon. But you don't have to have it be like you don't have to have a large following for it. And also like with my first Patreon before the other one that I made, um I also just started by like mentioning that I had a Patreon to my friends and family. I didn't do it this second time because like I was just like, I don't let you guys know what I do. But for the first time, I was just like, hey, I have this thing. Would you be interested in supporting me on Patreon? And this is before Patreon was like even big, so people were just like not super receptive, but like, if they say no, what's the big deal, Like it's not going to be like the end of the world if they say no. And so be comfortable with rejection as well. Same for if someone unfollows you on Patreon or unsupports like doesn't support you and like stop supporting you on Patreon. Don't take it personally. It literally is it could also just be like financial reasons where they can't afford to support you at the moment. They might come back. Same for like maybe they're not happy with the perks that you're offering. But if you have different ones, maybe they'll come back. So don't burn any bridges when using Patreon. um, but yeah, does anyone else have any questions? I'm gonna double check to make sure that I got everyone's questions. I think I have everything.
Yeah, I think you hit everyone. I guess I'll ask a question. What's your favorite social media to post on? And then conversely, like what would you say was your most successful one that you posted on?
I'm so active on Instagram. I don't shut up on Instagram. That's my home. Instagram is my home. Um, I tried I tried YouTube for a bit and I enjoyed it, but for me, I think I started it before college and then at the beginning of college, and then I just couldn't find the time, so I switched to something different. Um, don't use Twitter. I don't know, like, okay, use Twitter if you want to, but I've never met anyone who's ever been happy with Twitter. Everyone's mean on there from what I've seen, so I would just say don't. Just don't. But yeah, I prefer Instagram active on there. And I would say second preference, just because of how well it works for me, is just TikTok. Um, because I do animations and stuff. So I'm able to kind of easily port the animations I do on Instagram to TikTok. So it's not like too big of a change for me. So those are the two that are my main ones. Also, Instagram is like completely visual. So, as a visual artist, I find it to be very nice. I think I did try Tumblr as well, but that was like before I was like super active. But Tumblr is nice, I would say. Just make sure you curate your feed whatever social media you use, make sure you curate your feed. Any other questions? There's a bug flying around. Oh, I know you touched on Patreon, but are there other ways you can recommend turning social media following into profit? I think a lot of people struggle with that. Yes. So I currently, the ways that I earn from social media are Instagram directly compensates me, which like $2. Like it's not a lot. It used to be a lot, it's not a lot anymore, which is very annoying. But usually, like there's a creator program for a lot of these social medias now. Same with TikTok, except I'm not on TikTok enough to like actually want to monetize it. And I think they also like are just like, oh, you can monetize it when you make a video that's more than a minute. And my videos are like a couple seconds long. But a way to work around that is looping the video until a minute. You didn't hear it from me. Um, so I would say the best for creator programs is probably going to be YouTube. It's a little hard to like get into it, but I've heard that it's very consistent. So there's that. You can also use Ko-fi. So similar to Patreon, people can either subscribe to you, or it's kind of like a tip jar. So people can tip you on Ko-fi. You can also like, I would say, have a list of links on your account, just because like it's a really great way to just like um people can like click the link and then you don't have to worry too much. I would say that if you're on social media, just make sure that you are mentioning that you have these things, just because some people don't know that you have a place that they can support until you let them know. Sometimes they're not seeking it out until you mention that, hey, this is something you can check out. I also have an online store that I mentioned on my Instagram. I wish I posted it on it a little bit more, like promoted it a little bit more. Because when I do promote it, I do get a lot of people coming in. But when I don't, people are like, "Huh? You have a website? I didn't know that." So being able to just like mention it once in a while is pretty helpful. And then I would say that my social media has also helped me with in-person sales too. So At Artist Alleys, I sell completely original art. And people are not too familiar with my work when they first see it sometimes. So sometimes it takes them a couple of times to see it for them to actually want to make a purchase. I think there's like a rule where it's like people have to see something 7 times before they think about purchasing it. And that can be the case for your art. So if they see you more often online, they're just like, oh my God, I know you from Instagram. Yeah, let me like buy something from you. I've heard that before where it's just like, oh, I know you on Instagram. Now I have to get something. And I'm like, no, you don't have to, but also money. So that's been really helpful. And like, it helps people get familiar with my work. And I've noticed, like, since my following has gotten larger, I've gotten a lot more people who are receptive to my work at these events. And also, when you do the events more often as well, it helps too, because it helps them be familiar with things like that. Um, I think those are the main ones. I think. Oh, brand deals. I've also gotten a couple of brand deals. They pay pretty well. I would say that it's really hard for me to get them just because I am not the most brand friendly. Um, and also a lot of people don't really know how to work with artists when it comes to using brand like when it comes to doing branding as well. Like you're kind of your own person, so the brand has a trouble just being like, oh, I can just copy paste this. um like you see with a lot of beauty influencers, they're kind of like a blank slate where you can plug and play like what you want to kind of promote on their accounts. Literally nothing wrong with it, by the way. Like that's just how their business model is, they make it so that it's easy for a company to like put themselves in their shoes. But I have seen like brand collaborations with artists. You just kind of have to have a mix of your own voice, but smooth and inoffensive enough for brands to be like, oh yeah, we can do a collab. um so I think those are a couple of things. What platform do I use for selling stuff? Is there anything you have drop shipped slash don't create yourself? I use Shopify. I don't drop ship anything. And everything I have has been drawn by me. Um I would say that I work with manufacturers to get things created. For example, like for my acrylic pins, I don't know how to make those myself, and also the amount of time it takes to try and figure that out without it dropping in quality is something that I just don't want to focus too much on. So I use a manufacturer to get those made, but all the artwork is created by me. I would say that like for my pencil cases, for example, I have a heat press at home. You see it right there. Yeah, I have a heat press. This is my studio. But I have a heat press that I use to actually press every single one of my pencil cases. So it's fun to be like, hey, this is handmade by me. Everything else is drawn by me. Oh yeah, if you're at a convention, if someone asks, like, did you make this? Everything has been drawn by you, I'm assuming. So like if someone's like, did you make this? And you're like, no, a manufacturer did, they would assume that the manufacturer also drew it or made the art. So just make sure that you do clarify like everything is drawn by me. Yes. Um, Let me see. Are there any people you found recently that have inspired you? Yes. Let me check. I'm like, let me think about it. I would say that I have been really getting into like the seal. I'm in my seal era. So a lot of my feed has been seals. Like my explore page right now is like there's a seal, there's a seal, there's a seal. Like I got a lot of seals going on. So I haven't really been thinking too much about art on Instagram. However, I do enjoy checking out artists in person. So, one artist that I really like their style has been Danielle Corsetto. I met her, well, I've known her and like we've talked once in a while, but I visited her her area for a comics retreat, and she's such a sweetheart, and her art is crazy good. Like it's really good. So it's been really inspiring seeing how well she's done her figure drawing. And I'm just like, I want to get to that. Like, I thank you, Leaf. Thank you. So that's Danielle's link. So I've been really enjoying her work. And then there's another one I'm thinking of that I really like I really like his compositions. And his name is oh my god, this is embarrassing. I should know these people by now. Oh my god. Um I'll think of it in a little bit, I think. Um, how am I not thinking of it? I have a list of you can check my following, who I'm following. You can check who I'm following. Let me see. Let me wait, let me check. Let me check. Um, by recents. Sort by latest. So I recently oh yeah, Laura illustrates. Laura underscore illustrates. I love her illustrations. Like she made a bunch of seal ones, and I love the way that she does her colors. I love the way that she does her composition. And it's like I kinda wanna like get into illustration, you know? Like, thank you, Leaf. Leaf, you're a real one. And then also one more for the road. Blabbermouse. Flabbermouse. I met them in person at a convention. They do more product design, like illustrations and stuff, product illustrations, for their booth. But I really like their line work and their use of color. So those are a couple of people that I would say. Um, would you say there are big differences between Patreon and Ko-fi? I would say yes, but not too big. Um, they're very similar. I prefer Patreon just because I've been using it for a lot more and it's what I push. But Ko-fi, I think you can do commissions on there. Oh yeah, commissions. Sorry. For turning social media following into profit. You can also do commissions. I don't do commissions because why are you telling me what to do? But I do them once in a while. Um, for me, since I don't really prefer to do them, well, not prefer, but I don't, it's not my main focus. I usually just promote them on my Instagram story and open up a couple of slots for the day. So I don't want like a huge queue um of commissions. And what I found is really helpful for commissions is if you are a little specific about what you're offering. So, for example, for some commissions, I would offer like, hey, I would draw you as a rat or your pet as a rat or your character as a rat, like just rat commissions. And then that gives them an idea of like, oh, I can get a rat commission. That may be really fun. And I show some examples as well. Or I can be like, hey, I'm doing little doodle commissions. This is what they look like. This is how much they are. This is how you can customize them. So just being a little bit more specific can help someone visualize in their mind what they can get for you. Because some people, like when they're scrolling on Instagram, they're not really thinking too much about like, oh, I'm looking for artwork to be made. It's more like, oh, I could get artwork made. This is really fun. Um, and also since I do also thank you, Leaf. Yes, I meant to say that, but I did not say it. So thank you, Leaf. Um, but I think that um oh my God, I'm getting distracted. um for what was I saying? I was saying something else and then I got distracted. I'm so sorry. Um I was talking about okay, I lost my thought again. I'm so sorry. Um Wait, let me go back. Rat commissions. Thank you. Yeah, so I was talking about rat commissions. And I was also gonna say that like I keep slots very small. Like I don't open a lot of slots because I don't get overwhelmed by them. And I also have like I set a mental deadline of like I'm gonna get this amount done by this time. And then also like since I only posted on my Instagram story and it's only for 24 hours, it kind of raises the demand as well because the supply is kind of low. And so people are like, oh, I kind of have to like get on this sooner than later. So it encourages people to kind of make that purchase sooner than later. So those are a couple of things to kind of think of when you're thinking of having commissions. Like setting like, oh, this is how many there are gonna be, or oh, this is gonna close at a certain time, just so people know like, oh, this is not like something I can wait on, or this is not gonna take something that's not gonna be something that takes a long time. Um, so yes, differences between Patreon and Ko-fi. I think yeah, we covered that. Um, I prefer Patreon personally, but it's gonna be like Patreon is something that you're gonna have to keep up. So I would also say, be consistent, like accommodate yourself. So, for example, for my $1 tier, I do updates. So, any type of updates I have, like a newsletter type thing, that's what I do for my one tier. I also kind of share my mashups there. So, it's not like I'm making new content, but it's like bonus content from there. Same with my $5 tier. I show comics first, like there. So it's like a little preview. So it's not like you're missing too much from not subscribing, but you get even more. There's a benefit to subscribing. So something to little think about for those. Let me know if there are any other questions. Um, I feel like there was something I wanted to mention, but if I think about it, I'll tell y'all later, as I said before. Oh, you find Ko-fi a lot easier as a person with a taxing full-time day job. So if you miss a month or few, it's not an issue. That is true. It's very useful for one-time things. And you can also that's where I was getting commissions from. Ko-fi, you can do one-time commissions. And you can offer one-time commissions as well. It also acts like a tip jar, so you can just be like, "Hey, if you like this thing, check out my Ko-fi." Um, I remember finding an artist that I really liked, and I found out they had a Ko-fi, and I was just like, "Oh, let me just give him a little something, something." So, it's a great way to do that without having to worry about the commitment of like a monthly payment. For the audience, they don't have to worry about the commitment of a monthly payment, but they can kind of like give you a little something here and there. And there's also for Ko-fi, um, you can what was it? You can also show updates on Ko-fi, which is really great. And Patreon has started to do storefront options, but it's not as versatile as Ko-fi is, because Ko-fi's been doing it for a lot longer. But there is the option there. Um, and trying to think about other ways to monetize. Um, Having a social media is also useful for if if you want to get into consignment. Sometimes the the companies that you do work with, they're like, "Hey, can you promote our stuff on your social media as a part of the contract?" And so they see that you have like a larger following and they're like, "Oh, we're more likely to get a larger set of eyes on this." And so you're more likely to kind of get that slot as well. But it depends on the store as well though. So just something to think about too. Um, I think that is everything. Yes.
Yeah, are there any more questions for Lee before we kind of wrap it up and everything? All right. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Oh, and thank you for watching. So I
Yes.
see I say someone said thank you and I was like, oh my God. Yes, I put a lot of heart into this. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed my presentation.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to moderate this one because I feel like I learned a lot from everything you talked about. So thank you, Lee, for talking to us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and listening to Lee share this really awesome information. All right. And I hope that everyone's able to join us at 3 p.m. We have our one of our vendors, Kat Clifford, will be hanging out. So if you can come make that today, that would also be awesome. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording.